So Miles knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He had a very good talent for picking people, you know.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate that he picked me.
Yeah.
You know?
And the music was changing big time there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, with that band. That's when everything was starting to develop.
Yeah, speaking of change, there's an interesting little story about that band because, you know, he was suffering during that time. He had this hip problem and he was in constant pain. And so a lot of nights he wouldn't show.
Right.
So here I am on the bandstand because, you know, the show must go on.
Right.
And I felt really strange being up there, trying to carry on, you know, where Miles was. So they slightly resented this, you know, not coming to me, telling me about it, but they slightly resented me. And they were trying to change the band around. They wanted to be real hip, young and hip.
Yeah.
So I was like playing too old fashioned for them. So when Miles wasn't there, they would just take over and just go so as avant-garde as they could be. They you know. Tony really didn't particularly care for the way I played, you know. So one night, I said, I'm gonna stop this. I said, I'm gonna finally let these guys know that I can play this SH. You know.
Okay.
So Miles left the band. Like Miles, this particular night, Miles was there. So he left the bandstand. He went over to the bar to have his champagne as usual. So he left me up there. I think he had kicked off walking very fast, very fast. And he played his course and got down off the bandstand, went to the bar. So I said, I'm going to fix these guys tonight. So when I came up to the mic and started playing, they started hearing all this out stuff. But it was out swinging like a dog. 'Cause Tony was back there swinging, you know.
Yeah.
So it surprised, it shocked them, all of them. Tony said, yeah. Ron said, with his deadpan look, you know. And Herbie said, they all turned around and looked at me. Miles rushed back from the bar up to the stand and pulled me over and said, what was that? From then on, they left me alone.
Right.
And I went right back to my little bebop playing. From then on, they never bothered me after that.
Right. You just needed to show them.
To show them I could play that stuff, man. Because they thought that they were the only ones that could. Look, man, I could play out long before I could play. Well, I won't say that, but I could play out. If I had to play out, I could play out.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show them that it wasn't impossible for me to play out. You know, because they were on my backs all the time. They was, you know, turning up their nose and, you know.
Really?
I knew it. They didn't say nothing, but I knew what they were thinking, you know.
Right.
But this particular night, it opened, and this is written in the book, too. In the book, Miles Davis' book. This particular incident was so that kind of relieved the pressure off me for a minute, you know.
Because Miles was a big fan of yours. He
loved me because he wrote in the book. He said, "Well, George was always playing perfect harmony." He said, and they didn't like that too much. He said they always wanted to be adventurous and be stretching out and playing, you know, away from the changes. He said, so this one night, he said, he stretched out and started playing outside of the chords, you know. And of course, Tony was there swinging as ever. So, you know, it was that, and it didn't matter whether they turned the beat around. None of that mattered because they were swinging and the pulse was there. It was fast too. It was very fast. So I was playing almost sound like Arnett. I was playing so much out stuff, boy.
But you don't have a problem playing fast because you know you play fast.
But
and those tempos were fast, even on those records, and you're all over it. You know, it's not like oh gosh, you know, it's difficult.
Well, see, that was the Max Roach training. See, Max used to play faster than that. See, that wasn't really fast when you look at it. I mean, I was some nights were fast, where Max played almost impossibly fast. You know, I mean, it was almost impossible to play eighth notes as fast as he was playing. So I had no problem. When they started to say tempos, that was my meat. You know, tempos, I love tempos as I do today. You know, I love a fast tempo. Of course, first of all, when you're playing fast, you got to think fast. You got to think fast when you're playing fast. Not only do you have to have the technique, but the mind has to be working. Especially if you're going to play some harmonics, if you're going to play changes. You know, you got to be thinking. Whereas your mind, if your mind is slow, the stuff will leave you. It'll go and leave you standing there. But that was an interesting little story I wanted to tell you about that. But then I've told people this over and over again, but it's all written in the book. It's right there in the book in black and white. That particular night where it happened. He didn't really know that I could play that stuff, you know. He knew I could play changes.
Yeah.
And he always admired me for that because he finally told Herbie, and I found this out later. Herbie came to me one time and said, Miles used to tell me, he said, George, he said, you know what Miles said to me? He said, man, why don't you play them changes that behind me that you played behind George? Because, Herbie was always laying something in there. If I play a note, he'd put something underneath it.
Yeah.
And, he'd be playing the half steps and all that stuff. So, because it was unrehearsed. Yeah. All of that stuff. None of that was rehearsed. We never rehearsed.
Yeah.
We never rehearsed, man. When the time Tony came in the band, we never rehearsed nothing. When the Joshua and all that stuff, they passed out the charts. We played the charts down, and that was it. There were no rehearsals after that. We went in the studio, recorded them, and from then on, that was it.